Now, continuing our lecture on the achievements of early congressmen, we are going to analyze some of the contribution of early congressmen like Dadabhai Naoriji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and Surendranath Banerjee. So, getting started with the contribution of Dadabhai Naoriji, here you can see the image. He was born in 1825. He was also popularly known as Grand Old Man of India, and he spent a considerable part of his career in England, and he was known as the unofficial ambassador of India to England. He founded the East India Association in London, which included British retired officials and Indian residing there. It was a common platform to discuss Indian matters. He was the first Indian who had won a seat in 1892 in the British House of Commons. So he was the first Indian to be the member of British Parliament. It was due to his efforts only the British House of Commons passed a resolution that Imperial Civil Service examination would be held simultaneously both in England and in India. He was one of the founders of Congress and he was elected as the President of Congress three times. The famous resolution on self-government, boycott, Swadeshi and national education were passed by the Congress under his presidency. Dadabhai Naoriji edited Rast Guftar, which was a Gujarati newspaper, and started the magazine known as Dharma Margdarshak. His famous brain theory is contained in his book known as Poverty and Un-British Rule in India. Now we are going to have a look on the contribution of Gopal Krishna Gokhale. He was born in 1866. He is called the political guru of Gandhi and believed in petition and resolution and passive resistance, which was later adopted by Gandhiji. He gave full support to the Swadeshi movement. He edited Sudharak, which was a quarterly journal of an organization named as Poorn Sarvajanik Sabha. He had faith in constitutional means like petition, prayers, passive resistance. That is why he was so popular among the moderate section of Indian National Congress. He pleaded for the reforms in legislative councils and separation of judiciary from the executive. He also pleaded for the reduction of land revenue so that the peasants can be relaxed. He favored state protection to the new Indian industries to create better opportunities, create more jobs. He demanded better jobs for the educated middle class because earlier all the better paid jobs were reserved for the Europeans only. He set up the Servants of Indian Society in 1905, and in the same year he was elected as the President of Congress. He condemned the British Act of Partition of Bengal in 1905, October 1905. He also pleaded for the reduction in salt duty and the abolition of excise duty on the cotton goods. He asked for the free primary education for all the children, irrespective of their religion, their creed, and their class.
Now we will look at the contribution of Surendranath Banerjee. He was from Bengal and was born in the year 1848. Surendranath Banerjee is also known as the father of Indian nationalism. He is often called the Indian Burke, like the Edmund Burke, as he was a good orator and could move his audience through his oratory. Surendranath Banerjee founded the Indian Association. He protested the reduction of the maximum age limit for the civil service examination from 21 to 19. He also criticized the Arms Act and the Vernacular Press Act, which was imposed by Lord Lytton. Next, Surendranath was elected in the Kolkata Corporation. He was elected to Reformative Legislative Council of Bengal in 1921. He convened the Indian National Conference in 1883. He presided over Congress for 2 times in 1895 and in 1902. He edited the weekly newspaper which is known as the Bengali. He was the author of the book A Nation in Making, which was also known as his best book till now. He supported the Swadeshi movement and vehemently protested against the partition of Bengal. So that was it in this chapter, and hence this chapter is completed now. Thank you.
So in this video, we are going to have a look on the programs and achievements of early congressmen. We'll start with analyzing the beliefs and methods of the early congressmen. Then we will have a look on the demands of early congressmen. And then we will see the contribution of early congressmen like Dadabhai Naoriji, Gopal Krishna Gokhale, and Surendranath Banerjee. So first of all, let us know that what do we mean by this term early congressmen. So this term means a group of political leaders in India which were active between 1885 to 1907, and this term early congressmen is also known as early nationalists or also popularly known as moderates. These moderates dominated the Congress till 1907 and they were known for their prayer and petition methods and the demand for constitutional reforms. Some important early congressmen were Dadabhai Naoriji, Gopal, Krishna Gokhale, Surendranath Banerjee and Firozshah Mehta. Now we are going to have a look over the beliefs of early congressmen. So they looked to England for guidance and inspiration. They sought to England for guidance and inspiration. They had a deep faith in the British sense of justice and fair play. The early congressmen accepted British rule in India and they had no objection over it. They just want to improve the condition of India under the British rule. They were proud of their British connections, and this is why some of the people like Dadabhai Naoriji had recognized the benefits of British rule in India and also praised the introduction of railways, telegraph, and introduction of Western education. Now coming to their methods. So the methods can be summed up as constitutional agitation within the four walls of law, and their methods depict orderly political progress. Some of the tools of their agitation were petition to the government officials, resolution meetings in the towns, cities, and villages, distributions of pamphlets and leaflets, preparing memorandum for the government. They also tried to build up a strong political opinion in India, to arouse political consciousness of the people and to educate and unite them over the political issues. Deputation of leading Indians were sent to Britain to propagate the Indian views. For example, Dadabhai Naoriji, you all will know later in this video, he was also a member of parliament in Britain. So he spent a considerable period of his life in England in popularizing India's case among its people. Now coming to the demands of early congressmen. So first of all, they demanded constitutional reforms. Their principal demand was the expansion of legislative councils and to give the Indians greater power. For instance, the power of budget discussion. They also appealed for the abolition of Indian Council because Indian Council was full of British members or the European members. By the beginning of 20th century, they put forward their claim for the colonial form of self-government. They do not want to get free from the colonial government, they just wanted self-government under the umbrella of colonial government, meaning the system of administration existing in the self-governing colonies of Canada and Australia, which is also now termed as Commonwealth.
So now we will see some of the administrative reforms. The first one is the complete separation of judiciary from the executive. The early congressmen also wanted the wider employment of Indians in the higher services, conducting simultaneous civil service examination both in England and in India, adequate representation of Indians in executive council of the viceroy and those of the governor, increasing the powers of the local municipal bodies and reduction of official control over them. Next is the socio-economic reforms demanded by the early congressmen. They wanted to abolish the salt tax and the duty on the sugar, giving cheap credit to the farmers through agricultural banks. They wanted reduction in land revenue and protection of peasants against unjust demands of the zamindar. Industrial growth through trade protection, meaning of heavy duty on imported goods and providing government loans for development of iron, coal, paper and sugar industries in India. Reduction in the expenditure on the army, and the money thus saved should be spent on the welfare activities like the health and the education. Next was the demand of safeguarding the civil liberty. The early congressmen condemned the suppression of freedom of speech. They demanded the right to assemble to form association. They asked for the restoration of the individual liberties. So that was it in this video. Now we will discuss some other topics in the other video. Thank you.